Hey everyone, these are notes on 7D. They're going to tell us how to create a frequency table and a histogram. A histogram is a special kind of bar graph that we'll use our frequency table to create. So let's get into this. We're going to first of all fold our notes hamburger style so that we're looking at the words how to create a frequency table and histogram. And then we're going to fold them hot dog style so that we have little 1/4 sheet notes here. As you open this up, you'll see that there are some general notes for us to take, and these will make more sense as we move along, but right now we'll get these filled in. It'll serve as a checklist for us later to be able to tell us how to make our histograms. So first of all, we're going to create intervals, and that's the bulk of this video. We'll talk about how to create intervals. Then we'll be choosing a scale for our x-axis so that we can represent the frequency. We're going to label our x and y axes. Now that means that we're going to put a title on them so we know what the x scale is telling us and we know what the y scale is telling us. Then we need a title for our graph so that we know what this graph is all about. We're going to draw a bar for each of the frequencies that we're going to make here in a minute. And then we want to remember that those bars have to touch. And make sure that those bars touch when we graph our bars. All right, so on to creating our frequency table here. So we've got some information here that says the number of children who visited the zoo was recorded for 2 weeks. The amount of children are recorded in the list below. And there you see some data. So I'm going to just move along here and find my smallest piece of data. And I believe that 94 is my smallest piece of data. I don't see anything less than 94 in here. And then I think 140 is my largest piece of data. I don't see anything larger than 140. So I'm going to use that information to figure out my range. I'm going to take 140 and subtract my 94 and find out what my range is. And I see that I have a range of 46. So the spread of the data from the biggest to the smallest is 46 units. Now, I want to divide that 46 units up into intervals. So I'm going to, here I see that I've got a space for 5 different intervals. So I'm going to take my 46 and divide that by 5. And I see that I need just right around 9, about 10 units in each interval. So I'm going to start, I don't necessarily have to start at 94. I need a number lower than or equal to my smallest number, and I have to go as far as a number that will include my highest number. So I'll go ahead and start with, let's say, 90. And we'll go by tens. So 90 to 100. And then not 100, but 101 would be our next number, plus 10 would give me 111. And then 112 would be our next number, plus 10 would give me 122. And then 123 is our next number, plus 10 would give me 133. And then 134 is my next number, plus 10 would give me 144. So I can get my 94, my smallest number, in here, and I can get my largest number, 140, in here. So I'm going to use those intervals. So again, the way I found that, I just found the range, divided by the range by the number of intervals I wanted, started with a number lower than my smallest number, and made sure that I could go higher than my biggest number. So my first interval will be 90 to 100. My second interval will be 101 to 111. My third interval, 112. Whoops, 112. Getting ahead of myself there. 112 to 122. 123 to 133, and 134 to 144. Okay, now I need to find out how many of my pieces of data fall in each of those intervals. I'll clean this 112 up a little bit here for us. Just wipe that out and go back in and put it in again in a minute there. We'll let that dry while we're figuring out how many pieces of data fall between 90 and 100. All right, so we know we don't have any 90s. We know 94 is our smallest, so we've got that piece of data, 94. 96 falls in here. 95 would fall in here. So it looks to me like we have 3 pieces of data that fall into the range 90 to 100. Okay, now we're into our next range, 101 to 111. So it looks like 110 would fall in there. 105 would fall in there. I think that does it. So we've got 2 pieces of data, 110 and 105, that would fall into the 101 to 111 range. Now we can make this 112 look better. Okay, now the 112 to 122 range. So no, but yes, right here, 116 would fall in there. 114 would fall in there. 121 would fall in there. And I think that's it. So we've got 1, 2, 3 pieces of data that would fall into the 112 to 122 range. Now we're at the 123 to 133. So 132 would fall in there. 128 would definitely fall in between those numbers. 123, it's okay if it's right on the number. And 126 would fall in there. And that looks like it's it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers in that range of data. And then finally, we've got 136 and 140, those 2 numbers for our last interval. So what we've done now is we've made a frequency table. We're going to use this information in our next video then to make a graph.